Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome to MLFA first Black Tie Gala dinner. I am your host, Khalid Turani. When I say it is a pleasure and an honor to be here with MLFA, it might sound like a cliche, but for me, it is really personal. It touches my life and my family's life. So when I say it is an honor to be the host of MLFA's first virtual Black Tie Gala dinner. The reason for that is not only am I the MC and am I the host of this dinner, but I'm also a client. I have been fortunate to be the beneficiary of MLFA's great service and being helped by the dedicated individuals, men and women, with MLFA and CLCMA. This is a fundraising dinner. This is a dinner where we come together to support the mission of MLFA. You know, communities throughout the United States history have stood up and got counted when it comes to the civil liberties, whether it is the Italians and the Irish in the early 20th century, whether it is Japanese during World War II, African Americans who continue with their struggle. It is now our turn, the Muslim community in the United States, to stand up and be counted, to do our duty to make sure that the civil rights and the constitutional rights of everybody are protected. Usually it starts with the weakest link in the chain of society. At one time it was the Italians, another time it was the Irish, and then the Japanese. Well, now it happens to be the Muslims, and it is time for us to stand up and be counted. So join with us with this wonderful event with a great lineup of speakers. To donate, you can go to mlfa.org/gala. Do not forget about our silent auction that is going to be available for the next 24 hours online on mlfa.org/auction. You can donate by going to mlfa.org and hit the donate button, or you can text to 91999, that is 91999, and type MLFA for you to donate. Well, nothing better for us to start this splendid evening than with the recitation of the Holy Quran. And we have with us Hafiz Sajjad Gul. He is the principal at Dar al-Quran Hafz School at Epic Masjid in Dallas.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace, everyone. I welcome you all to MLFA's first virtual Black Tie Charity Gala as MLFA's newly appointed interim CEO. I do not take this responsibility lightly, and I hope that you will all commit to being on this journey with me. Truth be told, when I was invited to join MLFA a little over 2 years ago, I was scared. I wasn't sure what would happen to me or my boys if I worked for an organization that fought to defend and protect the rights of Muslims in America in the name of national security law. I realized, however, that the abuses that we are facing today as American Muslims will be the abuses that others face tomorrow. So I decided, despite my fear, that I needed to join. I wanted to join. I wanted to commit my life to fighting and defending for our collective rights. We have been afraid for far too long, and we have been holding on to shame that does not belong to us. It's time that we together break the silence. It's time that we together break out of the shame and stand as one nation under God, indivisible. I have been stopped at the border many times. I've had to remove my hijab. I've been searched. My 13-year-old son, at the age of 7, was pulled to the side at the airport because of his name. All of these times, I was afraid. I did not know my rights, and I felt alone and on my own. I realized today, however, I didn't have to be. My personal life experiences are nothing, I kid you not, nothing compared to what I have learned over the past 2 years. And yet, when I experienced them, a part of my soul was hurt. Our clients have been placed in solitary confinement and drugged for 23 of the 24 hours they are in prison, all while being 100% innocent and 100% American. Our clients have gotten life sentences. For what? Why? A lot of things did not make sense to me before, but they do now. I understand now how laws are created and upheld, and I understand now why this nation of ours, is the nation of laws and due process. And to that, there should be no exception, except that there is. In my new role as interim CEO, I will be working closely with MLFA's Executive Director, Khalil Meek, and the MLFA Board of Directors to provide leadership and strategic oversight as we implement our strategic plan to enhance our organization's efficiency, infrastructure, and the capacity to meet the demands of our mission. Our mission is to advance equality and justice for American Muslim organizations and individuals by promoting legal compliance and protecting their rights in matters concerning national security law. I am grateful today that my individual struggle in the American court system and in America has transformed as a communal struggle for you. Let's talk to each other. Let's talk out loud. Let's break the power of secrecy. Let's stop being afraid. Let's start uniting against injustice everywhere. We need you. I need you. We need to shift our culture. We need to own our narrative. We need to speak our truths out loud. And we need to build a world where every life has value and every person gets their due process. The civil rights of the Muslim community continues to be under threat. And we at MLFA fund legal actions ensuring that the constitutional rights of Muslim in America are protected in and out of the federal courtrooms. I challenge all of you stakeholders who have invested in MLFA to find ways to elevate and influence the impact towards our mission. Through our mission, MLFA is committed to equally, regardless of religion, ethnicity, or cultural heritage. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to getting to know you personally, and I commit to serving you and your children for generations to come with God's grace. Enjoy the rest of our program, and thank you all for your support.
America is a great nation, and its Constitution guarantees everyone freedom of religion. But it's not always easy being Muslim in America, especially when politicians, pundits, and radio personalities continually dehumanize Islam. And the effects of this anti-Muslim hate-mongering are being felt in every area of society, from the classroom to the courtroom. And if the constitutional rights of Muslims are taken away, what does that mean for people of other faiths or people of no faith? Simply put, the injustice against Muslims today will be the injustice against every American tomorrow. Fortunately, there is one organization funding the work that makes justice possible: Muslim Legal Fund of America.
MLFA is a charity with a simple mission: to defend the constitutional rights for Muslims in America. Its ultimate vision is an America which Muslims are treated equal under the law in all aspects of life. We're not seeking special treatment. On the contrary, we're asking or seeking equal and fair treatment for American Muslims. This legal work, though, requires a tremendous amount of financial resources, but the work is worth it because the legal representation in a nation of law is the best way to protect our constitutional rights.
The Constitutional Law Center for Muslims in America is a public interest 501c3 charity funded by a grant from Muslim Legal Fund of America and is composed of strategically focused senior level attorneys coupled with legal fellows and interns who provide direct legal representation to Muslim individuals and organizations. CLCMA's two missions are: one, challenge government encroachments against American Muslims that negatively impact the constitutional liberties guaranteed to all. Two, protect the rights of Muslim individuals and organizations in the United States to exercise their constitutionally and statutorily protected right to worship. CLCMA achieves these missions by providing pro bono representation in federal courts and administrative proceedings for qualified individuals and organizations where the representation is in the interest of the Muslim community.
Great. I mean, what Charlie Swift, who was just speaking, talked about is that you're getting, and those who need legal service are getting pro bono representation, which is basically the cost of a public defender. When you're getting the Michael Jordans and the Martina Navratilova of lawyering and defense lawyers who are coming to serve and to help our community for really a very, very fraction of the cost of what it would cost if they had to do it on their own. How many in our community have been bankrupted? How many organizations had to shutter down because they were bankrupted as a result of government overreach or an overzealous prosecutor, and then they were found to be innocent? This is really our role. This is our responsibility as Muslims in America today. And while Muslims are in the forefront of the civil rights movement today, MLFA is in the forefront of that civil rights movement, in the front of that Muslim community, defending it in courts and through legislation, through litigation, and making sure that our community is not going to be pushed around. And we count on your help and on your support. So make sure that you will go to our website, mlfa.org/Gala to donate, or donate through by texting MLFA to 91999 and make sure that your donation is going to be counted. Now we will we'll have our keynote address by really one of the most dynamic, one of the most energetic, one of the most focused individuals in America today that I know personally. And I'm privileged to call him a friend. He is a senior lecturer at the UC Berkeley. He is professor of Islamic law at Zaytuna College. It is really an honor for me to present my friend, Dr. Hatem Bazian.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's really a pleasure to be with you all. Thanks, Khalid, for the introduction, and it's a pleasure always to be with you as a friend, this time virtually, but inshallah we'll have the time to get together and be connected again. Khalid introduced me in my academic background, but I am also a board member of Muslim Legal Fund of America. And I've been in this role for over 10 years, making sure that the rights of our Muslim communities in the United States are guaranteed and defended. We often are repeating the preamble of the Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, Muslim Legal Funds of America vision is for America to actually fulfill the aspirations articulated in the Declaration of Independence and actualize the constitutional rights and liberties, not only for Muslims, but for everyone in our society. That our striving for equality, for fairness, for justice, for us to be included, it is the story of America. The United States of America's ideals are lofty and worthy, but let's be very clear and honest that we often have fallen short of fulfilling these lofty aspirations. I could argue that from the first moment that these aspirations were set forth, that our country actually had a split personality. That's on a good case scenario. I would say that now we are in the crisis of multiple personalities for the nation. Racism, discrimination, exclusion. One can't speak of all men are created equal without realizing that our brothers and sisters in the Black community were not included in this aspiration. Native population, likewise, indigenous population, were not included. So I would actually put it for you that the MLFA task and role at this particular time is none other than defending the lofty aspirations that have been put together in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution, while also realizing that there were contradictions from the get-go relative to the rights of the indigenous people and the Black community. We're not the first to face the challenges of actually trying to aspire and actualize our civil rights. We actually had a Civil Rights Act in 1866. Civil Rights Act. We're speaking about Civil Rights Act of 1965, but there are actually 1866, there was a Civil Rights Act. 1957, there was another Civil Rights Act. 1964, there is another Civil Rights Act. As Malcolm X have said, the fact that you needed a Civil Rights Act means that you are unequal in the society. This is not to say for us to pull back, but to understand that we have a monumental struggle ahead of us, which is to continue to aspire for equality, for justice, for fairness. MLFA is a defense, is a legal defense outfit. We take the cases that many, both in our community and outside of our community, run away. It was not surprising, if you read history, that it was Thurgood Marshall, a young lawyer, that took on the cases that many in the mainstream legal establishment stayed away, because they did not want to be, in essence, taken to task by those who have the means of and the resources, and those who were part of the elite societies. Thurgood Marshall's case, Brown versus Board of Education, reshaped the country's history. I argue that MLFA's work today is actually shaping and creating a new topography for law. And I do think that in a short period of time, some of our Muslim lawyers and legal minds will be in front of the Supreme Court, not only to argue the cases, but to reshape how law itself is actually written and represented in the court system, while also simultaneously think of the variety of other areas that we work. I do work on Islamophobia, I do work on activism. All those are very important, but MLFA knows exactly its track, knows exactly what type of work that is needed, and many of us are beneficiaries, because when you pick the phone up, or if you access it online and fill the form, that you have a case, that you have the FBI knocking on your door, you have a material support case that have been at least put at you or your organization, or you have an entrapment case. We know for sure that MLFA will take your case. We know that Charlie Swift and his team will take your case and begin to examine it without actually asking you to pay a penny to begin with, but rather take your case because it's the right thing to do, to defend our rights, to defend the community, and make sure that history of Muslim civil rights is actually forged and created. This is a fundraiser. The fact that we're able to take these cases is precisely because you understood the importance of the contribution that you make for MLFA, Muslim Legal Fund of America. All of our volunteers, all of our lawyers are there to defend the community, but we need you to actually be a partner with us in making it possible for us to stand and not worry about anyone thinking that a check or an amount of money will actually undermine justice. I often say that we have the best justice system that money can buy. It's a joke, but it's the reality. It does require resources, and therefore what we need is to make sure that our civil rights, our constitutional rights, our human rights in this country are protected because you decided to be part of the solution, to be part of the resistance, legal resistance. Because again, you could have many who might go to the legal track of corporate America, and that is often the case where people will end up there. But this is our outfit in here. Our Muslim Legal Fund of America is dedicated specifically to defending the cases that often really no one wants to touch, cases of terrorism, cases that pertains to government entrapment, cases of material support, cases of entanglement with a variety of government-oriented projects and programs that actually MLFA is the go-to institution for your support. Let me conclude with the following. History has a long, long arc, but it tips toward justice, as MLK said. I'm often inspired by the work of the Chinese Americans, faced the Chinese Exclusionary Act in 1882, faced actually lynchings themselves, as well as the Black community, inspired by the Black community's history of resistance and rising up time and time again. The Jewish community, with actually setting up the resistance in the early 1900s with the Red Scare and the Communist Scare that was targeting those activists. The Japanese Americans and their perseverance, the Latino community with the Cesar Chavez movement, United Farm Workers, that was here in California, marching and actually standing to transform even how we eat on our dinner table, the type of food that you eat. You have to thank the United Farm Workers and what they did in order to transform our society, and the civil rights movement, and so on and so forth. Now it is the Muslims' responsibility. Somebody handed us the Constitution, the ideals of America, and says to us, MLFA, to defend those ideals and push them forth to the future horizon. So I ask you to be a partner with MLFA and to think of not only looking back at history, but writing our own chapter of America's future and America's horizon while being critical of America that was. And I want you to actually forge the America that will be with your contribution, with your partnership, and with your impact. So thank you for being with us, and I look forward to meet you in person. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and protect your family in this difficult time. And may all of you be in state of peace and tranquility. And jazakumullah khair for being with us at this gala. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hatem Bazian. I'm going to use that new term, new topography of law. Indeed, America became better as a result of the struggle of the different minorities who came along. Like we said, from the Italian Americans, the Irish, the Japanese, the Chinese, even as early as the 1800s, who struggled. And America became better as a result of their struggles. And America will become better as a result of our struggle. See, I mean, a lot of times people wanted to say that it is the Muslim community versus America. We are America, actually. This mosaic of the United States of America has an American Muslim component to it. It has had that for hundreds of years, actually, from the establishment of this country. So we see ourselves as one, doing our duty, our patriotic duty in the United States by doing what we do, and supporting MLFA is really one of the key things that we can do tonight and every night, today and every day, to make sure that we are going to do our part in really and truly this time making America great again. And I say that with a caveat. In any case, now when the government goes after you, really what happens is that your entire life is put on pause, presses the pause button on every aspect of your life. And it can bankrupt you, and it can destroy your family. Your school is going to stop, your work can stop, your business can stop if the government goes after you and you really have only your means to face off with what the government does. We will hear from one of the beneficiaries. MLFA calls them clients, but I don't call them clients. I say they are beneficiaries. Beneficiaries because when they are in the midst of the struggle for really the survival either of their souls or of their families and their business and so on, it is MLFA and the MLFA staff and the people at MLFA who come to the rescue. And it is because of your donation. Otherwise, we would not have existed without really the support and the generosity and the forthcoming of members of our community. We have with us Hamza, who's going to share with us his story and how MLFA was able to help him to hit the play button again on his life when the government came after him.
Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers, my dear sisters, may peace of the Almighty and His blessings be upon you. My name is Hamza Lifesi. I'm a Muslim residing in the beautiful Raleigh of North Carolina in America. I wanted to take 1 minute or so today to talk to you about one of the most important institutions in America that stands for Muslims, that fights for Muslim rights, that stands against Islamophobia in this country. I'm talking about CLCMA, the Constitutional Law Center for Muslims in America, which itself is funded by MLFA, the Muslim Legal Fund of America. To make a long story short, my dear brothers and sisters, about 5 years ago, I have applied, like so many immigrants in America, for citizenship, a constitutional right every legal resident in America is entitled to. The US government has denied me such a constitutional right because of traffic tickets. Not only was I denied my constitutional right, but I have been detained for almost 30 months. After a very long fight, I have prevailed. I come out free. For those interested in knowing more about this case, it is available as a published opinion online, Lifesi, United States. I decided to pursue my legal fight for my constitutional rights. I was urged to reach out to MLFA. I have attended one of their conferences here in North Carolina, and as soon as I reached out to them, they heard me. They made sure CLCMA looked into my case, and they immediately saw injustice and wrongdoing, and they immediately decided to fight for me and stand on my side, and they have committed to bring me justice, like they do and like they have been doing for so many Muslims in America. CLCMA indeed enjoys a privilege of having some of the most brilliant attorneys in America an average Muslim in America cannot afford. But thanks to your donations, my brothers and my sisters, thanks to your contributions, I myself, along with so many other Muslims in America, are able to enjoy this privilege of having legal assistance from brilliant attorneys seeking justice. I first and foremost thank you for your contributions, and I urge you, my brothers and my sisters, to give and help MLFA. If you wanted to see true and real value of your money, if you wanted to make a difference with your zakat, with your charity, with your donations and contributions, with your money and wealth, then MLFA is the right place. MLFA is the right destination. MLFA is the right institution to help. And remember, my dear brothers and sisters, Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا أَنفَقْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَهُوَ يُخْلِفُهُ وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ. Whatever you spend in the sake of Allah, Allah shall give you more and better in this life and the other life. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much for Brother Hamza. You know, in the United States, you find all kind of different organizations, even some of the extremist organizations, some of the racist organizations are having their members donate and contribute, and some of the really good organizations, like after the Muslim ban, I think the ACLU got several tens of millions of dollars in donations. And because of that, they're able to do the great work that they are doing. And it is our time that we as a Muslim community, that we come to our own organizations and we grow our own organizations to make sure that we are defending ourselves with a great appreciation for all those who stood with us throughout the time. Now it is our time to do that for ourselves. Now, you know, we have, some might think we have different organizations, we have other organizations. Well, I'll tell you, we learn in school that 1 + 1 = 2. Well, most of the time, sometimes it doesn't equal 2. When you're building coalitions, when you're building alliances, when you are cooperating with one another, when you're counting on the strength of other organizations and the specialty of other organizations, combining our effort together, and then 1 + 1 does not equal 2, it equals a whole lot more than 2. And I think building coalitions is the essence of enjoining this Muslim ideal of coming together for that which is righteous. And there is no better example of this cooperation and building alliances and relying on one another and relying on the specialty. When you come to my specialty and I go to yours, no better example than that of MLFA and Council on American Islamic Relations CARE. And here we will have some of that cooperation.
Thank you, Brother Khalid. And assalamu alaikum to Brother Hassan. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our guest tonight from CARE, Florida. Let me start by just asking you, Brother Hassan, you know, CARE and MLFA have been doing this work for a long time. What is it that has made you dedicate your life to this mission? Why did you do this?
Brother Khalil, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for the tremendous work that you're doing with MLFA. And really, it's an honor. I remember I was actually still in law school when I first met you and was very much inspired by the work you were doing with the MLFA at the time. And I recognized, you know, that the American Muslim community's liberty is under threat, unfortunately, because of Islamophobia and the fear and the hate of the Muslim community, that we must invest in protecting our civil rights. You know, I'm an immigrant. I came to the US when I was 4 years old. And the reason we chose to move to America is because the United States purported to offer us more freedom and liberty to practice our faith and express our political views, our religious beliefs, more than most other places in the world. But unfortunately, over the last couple of decades, we've seen those civil rights eroded. And it's been organizations like CARE and like MLFA that have worked hand in hand to protect the essence of the liberty that makes America such an amazing place to call home. So that's really why I joined the work with CARE Florida, inspired by people like yourself that have committed their lives to defending our faith and defending justice and liberty, and recognizing that our liberty is under threat and we have to invest in protecting it for ourselves so that our children can enjoy the same freedom that we had the blessing to grow up with here in the US.
Well, I agree with that. And let me say that yeah, I may have inspired you when you were in college, but ever since then, you've inspired me. So that is something that you should be proud of. The work you do at CARE Florida as the director of the entire state, it is something that I think the whole US now appreciates, and the work that CARE does for all of us should be commended. Myself, why do I do this? You know, I'm a proud Muslim. I'm a convert. I love Islam. I love the Muslim community. In the aftermath of 9/11, I felt my religion was demonized, that all Muslims became suspicious. Many of my friends, colleagues were targeted. They were detained, deported. A lot of charities were shut down. Islamophobia exploded. Guilt by association became accepted. So I wanted to do what I could to protect my friends, my community, my religion, my identity. And I jumped in, and fortunate to be part of an organization that is a community platform to deal with.
Alhamdulillah. And Brother Khalil, we've been very blessed at Care Florida to be able to have a partnership with MLFA and work together to address critical issues that frankly we couldn't do on our own. I mean, so in Florida, alhamdulillah, we have 5 offices. We deal with your run-of-the-mill employment discrimination, your run-of-the-mill hate crimes, even run-of-the-mill sort of FBI and CBP harassment. But what we're not often equipped for is some of these intense cases where innocent individuals are wrongfully charged with terrorism-related offenses simply because of their religion when the evidence doesn't support it. And every time that's happened, we've been able to call MLFA to bring your phenomenal defense experts to stand with those victims that were wrongfully targeted and get justice and freedom and liberty for them. And I mean, there's so many cases. I remember one of the first cases when I moved to Florida was the case of Imam Isar Khan and his brother and his father. Alhamdulillah, MLFA got involved and was critical in helping secure his release, his freedom, and the vindication of his rights. I remember Noor Salman as well in Orlando, a victim of domestic violence, a victim of abuse. Again, the government tried to scapegoat her, wrongfully targeted her, turned her life upside down, and it was the MLFA lawyers that intervened and helped get her justice and freedom and liberty. Even the case of Imam Abu Tawbah, which I personally was involved in, almost every day I could call Charlie Swift with your amazing team, and he would guide us on how we can, push back. So the Muslim community is blessed to have the work of MLFA because it does what nobody else does, which is that critical defense work in very critical cases where people are really facing decades behind bars for political reasons. And people don't believe this, but I just had a meeting with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and they admitted to me that so many cases where Muslims in the U.S. were wrongfully targeted, charged with terrorism without evidence for political reasons, when even the prosecutors knew what they were doing was wrong, illegal, and unconstitutional. And it was only because of the great work of organizations like MLFA, in fact, MLFA itself intervening, providing that defense, that these individuals were able to get vindicated. My brothers and sisters, I just want to share this message very quickly because I know our time is very short. You can't imagine the fear and terror when you're wrongfully prosecuted and targeted by the government. And yet, organizations like MLFA are not afraid to stand very strong, to come forward, to defend those that are wrongfully targeted, even when it isn't popular to do so, and to win, and then get the praise even of the government for their valor, for their critical defense of civil rights. So what I want to encourage you all is get the reward of helping the oppressed, of liberating the wrongfully imprisoned, of providing relief to those who face fear. The greatest act of worship is that you relieve the difficulty of our brothers and sisters, you enter happiness in their hearts, and that's what you do tonight by supporting the great work of MLFA that stands by those that people are often unable or unwilling or too scared to stand by. The MLFA team is on the forefront of defending their rights, and it is winning, even getting the praise and thanks of even prosecutors that know what they're doing is wrong. We are blessed to have MLFA. I want to thank you, Khalid, for the great work your team is doing, and I want to encourage everybody to support the great work. I'm grateful that I can always call on you guys when these serious cases arise, and that's only made possible thanks to the great donors you guys have. So please keep supporting the great work of MLFA. We need you. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Brother Hassan. And likewise, I want to put my hat off to CARE. CARE has 35 or more chapters nationwide. And they do education, advocacy, policy, interfaith, coalition building, and legal. So each one of those chapters is serving the community in all of these areas to the best of their capacity. And we work with all of those chapters. Where they have a strength, we refer our clients to them. And where we have a strength, they refer their clients to us. So we have a partnership. We've been doing this since the day we were opened back in 2001, and we want to continue that partnership. We want to continue that relationship, and we really just want to strengthen each other so that we together can make a difference.
Yeah.
And appreciate you being here with us and taking a few moments tonight, this evening, to share those thoughts and your support for the work that we're all doing.
Absolutely, we need each other. I'm a proud monthly donor of MLFA. I have been for many years because we need the great work that only they're able to do. So may Allah bless everyone who donates tonight. Thank you for inviting me. Keep us in your prayers. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for Brother Khalil Meek and Brother Hassan Shibli from Florida, from Care, Florida, for these really encouraging words. And I also wanted to emphasize that this is a fundraiser. We need your help. We need your support. Please make sure that you would go to mlfa.org/gala for donation. Don't forget that we have a silent auction, and you can access that on mlfa.org/auction, and it is going to be online for the next 24 hours. So please make sure that you will go and support the work of MLFA. It was said once that the greatest patriotism is to tell your country when it is behaving dishonorably, foolishly, and viciously. And there is no case probably more vicious than when the government goes and targets a victim of domestic violence, a victim who has really nothing to do with the crime, and charge her with a whole slew of different charges. But with the team at MLFA and CLCMA, the great work that they did a historic setting precedent by getting this lady, Noor Salman, exonerated, and she was found not guilty of all charges. Not a single charge was she found guilty of. And her story is really, while it is a very sad story, but it is also inspiring that with the great work, with the great effort and the great support of our community, we're able to make a difference, not only in the life of one person, really in the life of so many in the United States, but also making sure that our laws are here to serve us, not to hinder us, and not to oppress our people. The testimony of Noor Salman, I think, is a great story, and it is a great testament to MLFA and the CLCMA and the great work that they are doing.
The wife of Pulse shooter Omar Mateen is about to make her first court appearance on charges that she knew about her husband's plans for the massacre. Thank you for joining us. I'm Michelle Imparato.
And I'm Jason Guy. Details of the indictment against Noor Salman came just a short time ago, and West 2's Jasmine Bailey is in our Breaking News Center with what she learned from that document.
Well, yeah, Jason, I've got it right here in my hands. The big news here are the charges. Noor Salman is charged with aiding and abetting her husband's support of ISIS. These documents specifically name that organization. The second charge, obstruction of justice, is for misleading police. And we just got some new video of the moments leading up to her arrest on Monday. Agents raided her home in San Francisco, and you can see some cruisers parked outside, while Salman claimed she didn't know anything about her husband's attack, which claimed the lives of 49 people at Pulse. Police say she became a person of interest after telling them that she'd been with Omar Mateen when he bought ammunition at Walmart and drove with him past the club at least once before the attack. Now, after the shooting, the indictment states that Salman gave misleading information to Fort Pierce police to prevent them from communicating with the FBI. Salman is expected to be brought back to Florida to face trial. Her hearing is at 12:30 our time. You can look for updates on our mobile app, and also West 2 News, first at 4.
Close your eyes and imagine yourself asleep, then waking up to pounding at your door at 6 a.m. You open your door to law enforcement with guns pointed at you. All you can think about is your scared 4-year-old who you just left. You are strip searched, handcuffed, and put in a windowless room. You sit there alone and hopeless, wondering if you'll ever see your child again. You repeat to yourself again and again, it's all a bad dream. And despite the life you have led and the love you have shown others, you're falsely accused of causing the terrible and tragic death of so many. Major Swift once told me that it's harder to defend an innocent client rather than a guilty one. That may be true, but all you know is you were held in isolation for over a year, only able to see your son through a glass wall. And all you understand is that 12 people who do not know you have your fate in their hands. Their decision to acquit or not to acquit, that was the most important question in your life. I was freed and returned home in 2018. Today, 2 years later, I jump when I hear a siren, I cannot sleep without a pill, and I never want to leave my home. I have had to build a wall around myself for my own protection. I flinch if someone touches me, and I hate surprises. And that innocent, happy girl who used to wear colors, dresses in black. It is hard for me to see the beauty in the world when I see so much sadness. I envy my little sister because she always smiles, laughs at little jokes, and is a hopeless romantic and wears colors that are so bright that hurt my eyes. My son worries if I don't pick him up at school. He sleeps next to me with his arms so tight around my neck that I can barely breathe. During my case, my family suffered so much. My mother's health disoriented. My uncle lost so much weight. My sister was bullied at school. I still talk to Charlie, Linda, and Fritz to make sure I am safe and I can move on my life. When the verdict was read and the truth of my innocence finally came out, I remembered another quote from Martin Luther King Jr. "A lie cannot live." I was blamed for a horrible tragedy based on where my family came from and their faith. I want to say to everybody, do not judge somebody based on news reports, because all media cares about are their ratings. Because of donations from people like you and because of my Muslim Legal Defense Fund, I now say what is on my mind and learning to love myself again. I always repeat what Fritz said after the acquittal: you're free, live your best life. I am free and now trying to live my best life. Some days, to be honest, it's hard. But just as all of you believed in me, I believe in myself. Because of that, I will never give up the fight.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Arshia.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, my dear. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us today. So I'd like to start off asking you what you can tell us about the most historic case that the center has fought and your thoughts around it, the Noor Salman case.
Yes, it's really historic. It's a historic success, not only for the center, but also in terms of jurisprudence in the country. In 2016, a man walked into a club in Orlando, Florida called The Pulse, and this was a gay nightclub. And within 2 minutes, he had shot to death 49 people and wounded 53 others. He was killed in the club that night. 100 miles away, law enforcement had, at gunpoint, forced his wife, Noor Salman, and their 3-year-old son out of their home and into detention and what would become an unrecorded 18-hour interrogation of Noor. After this interrogation, however, the FBI let her leave. And shortly thereafter, Noor contacted me, and she contacted Charlie to help represent her, although no charges at that time had been lodged. Now, the Department of Justice and the FBI, the government, would make a lot of this 18-hour interrogation, and they would claim that she had confessed to being an aider and abettor to her monstrous husband's appalling atrocity that night. That's what they said. And remember, this was an unrecorded interview.
Mm-hmm.
7 months after the tragedy, on Martin Luther King Day, they raided her home and at gunpoint again forced her out of the house, now in front of her 4-year-old son, and into custody, where Charlie and I were with her during her detention hearing in San Francisco. At that hearing, the government misled the court and convinced the judge later on to keep Noor in custody, where she remained for 15 months before we had the trial. And it was only during those 15 months that we, the defense lawyers, finally got to see the evidence. Of course, we never got to see any of this so-called confession because it was intentionally unrecorded. And not only was it intentionally unrecorded, but during the interrogation, Noor had signed a consent form to be put on a polygraph because she told the agents, I don't know anything about this atrocity. I don't know where Omar Mateen went when he left my house that night. And so she offered to be polygraphed by the FBI agents, and they never polygraphed her. And the reason they didn't polygraph her is because of the danger if she would have passed in telling the truth that she was innocent, that would not work with their narrative. Don't forget, 49 people were dead. And a guy who was claiming to be a part of ISIS, which was never true, and who was a Muslim, was responsible for those deaths. And he was dead. So somebody had to pay. And unfortunately, Noor was alive. And so they made her pay. So during those 15 months, there was a narrative that was out in the media, and it was a false narrative. And it was reported by a pretty unquestioning media. And what they said was that Noor was a member of ISIS, along with Mateen, and that she had scouted this club because it was a gay club. And we all know that radical extremists, Islamists are homophobic, and they want to kill all gay people. This was the narrative. This was the profile. And so that's what you heard in the months leading up to the trial. None of that was true. And it was proven by the defense, not only that none of that was true, that she didn't scout the Pulse nightclub with Mateen, and also that she didn't drive him that night to the club, which was another false narrative being reported by the media. She didn't know anything about this nightclub. And in fact, the defense proved to the jury that Mateen himself didn't know that it was a gay club when he walked in there that night. So it was a huge lie that the government was perpetrating about Noor and this case. And, you know, there were many surprises in this case, many challenges. But one of them was in the middle of the trial, we found out that the government had actually interviewed the bodyguard at the nightclub that night. Now, under the law, they should have given us those interviews and those reports, and they didn't do that. And the reason they didn't do that, we claim, is because the security guard of the Pulse told law enforcement, yeah, I saw Mateen when he came in that night, and he looked around at the dance floor and saw a bunch of guys dancing with each other. And so he came up to me and he said, where are all the girls at? And of course, that betrayed the fact that he didn't know it was a gay club. And that didn't fit the narrative that the Department of Justice was pushing on the court, on the jury, and on the public. That was just one of many of the deceptions that the defense proved was a deception and was untrue in this case.
I know that you and I can talk about this case, and we have, and we're going to continue to do so because there's so many lessons in this. But for the sake of time for this evening, I'd love to just hear a little bit from you personally in terms of what this case taught you And what do you want us to walk away with? What do you want us to learn from this case?
I will say to you that it was very interesting. In trial, every day for a month, the survivors and the relatives of the deceased, of those people who were killed at the Pulse, were in court every day watching the trial. And they were sitting behind the defense lawyers. And after a while, they understood that perhaps Nur Salman didn't know anything about this as the evidence was developing. And they started having press conferences in front of the courthouse saying, we don't know if Nur Salman was involved with this, but what we want to know is, what did the FBI do? What was this investigation all about? And why is she in custody? And I was reminded all through the trial by a quote from Voltaire that says, to the living we owe respect, and to the dead we owe the truth. That's what those people were seeking in the courtroom that day.
Powerful.
And when the jury came back and acquitted Nur Salman, they respected the living, those people in that audience, and they gave the truth to the dead, which was she didn't do it. She knew nothing about it, and that she was innocent. And she walked out a free woman, something that the government not only did not want to happen, but they wanted her to die in prison because the charges carried life in prison.
Well, thank you so much for defending her, defending me, defending all of us, defending the honor of our Constitution. I appreciate your time today, and I look forward to everything we're going to do together.
It's my privilege and my honor.
Be well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arshia, and thank you, Linda. It is really heartbreaking while inspiring that Nur Salman is now walking free. But how many people like Nur Salman who have not been afforded the outstanding legal representation that she was afforded thanks really to your donation? You know, every once in a while in the news, in the evening news, we see a picture of a man, for the most part, a black man walking out of prison, hugging his family, older guy, probably in his 50s, sometimes in his 60s, and they say, oh, very happy he was found innocent now after spending 34 years in prison, now that they have DNA evidence that he really didn't do it. Well, because unfortunately, overzealous prosecutors and FBI agents and government officials would lie and would cheat and would try to suppress evidence because they're so focused on getting a conviction, they really don't look at anything else. And it is really our responsibility to hold them to task, to make sure that no innocent person is going to be sent to jail, like Nur Salman would have died in prison. Or maybe when she is 60 years old, or somebody we'll hear in the evening news, oh, Nur Salman, 70 now, she is walking free because they found out she had nothing to do with it. Well, we don't want to do that. We don't want that to happen, not to Nur Salman, not to anybody in the United States. And we are really, as MLFA and CLCMA, are in the forefront of that fight. You know, your donation and these dedicated lawyers that you see who are speaking impassionately about these cases, well, they're not just any individuals. If you look at the books that about American civics, or if you have a child who is in the 10th grade or even in college and they have a civic book, go and read in that civic book. You'll find the name of these lawyers in these books, because they are not they are part of history. They are making history with MLFA before and after, making sure that we hold America to task when it comes to the Constitution and when it comes to really protecting people and making sure that someone like Nur Salman is going to be free and not going to be prosecuted wrongfully or because of an overzealous prosecutor. Well, also because it really it hurts my heart. It really hurts me that to see that there's so much injustice, that we came to America. Many of us came as immigrants because we are seeking freedom, and then to be prosecuted in such an unfair way, I think it is disheartening. But thanks to MLFA, thanks really to you, that makes it possible for MLFA to do the work. Make sure you donate. You go to mlfa.org/Gala, or you can text to 91999. That is 91999. Text the word MLFA and make sure you donate. Now, it is really my pleasure to introduce a very special guest, a very dear person to me, because she happened to be my lawyer when I was put on the no-fly list. And in 9 months, she sued the government, and the government said, "Oops, we made a mistake. He is back again on the fly list." It is a pleasure and an honor, really, to introduce to you Christy Jump from CLCMA.
Hi, my name is Christina Jump, and I am the Civil Litigation Department Head for the Constitutional Law Center for Muslims in America, or CLCMA. I joined CLCMA in early 2016, just a few months before the last election. Since then, we have been able to help our clients by fighting to protect citizenship from both direct and indirect attacks, by fighting for the right to fly, the right to work, and the rights of our clients to practice their religion unhindered and based on their own personal beliefs. These aren't rare or unusual rights. These are guaranteed rights stated in the Constitution. And so there's no real magic about what we do as lawyers, other than we go to the courts and ask the courts to remind the government that these rights are in fact guaranteed and they're not new. The attacks on these rights and the methods of these attacks may be new, but the rights are really well established. Our clients are doctors, lawyers, truck drivers, cashiers, and children. And I will be forever grateful for the opportunity to serve each and every one of our clients, just by being able to say that this is what's right, and by asking the courts to do the same. So today I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and on behalf of our clients that we've had the honor of serving, for making it possible for us to do what we do and hopefully be able to keep doing that well into the future. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and good evening. First, let me say thank you for joining us to celebrate our first virtual Black Tie Gala. Tonight, we've learned that the United States is a contradiction. Its founding principles embrace the ideals of freedom and equality, but in reality, we're a nation built on the systematic exclusion, suppression, and often oppression of minorities. From the founding fathers until today, race, ethnic, and religious discrimination remain part of the American fabric. So how have minorities responded to this contradiction? Well, one of the most powerful and effective responses has been for minorities to create their own legal fund, an organization that is capable of holding people and the government legally accountable. America's minorities learned that they themselves must take collective ownership for enforcing and protecting their rights. And when they did, they succeeded, all of them. Now, MLFA is following in their footsteps, following an authentic, proven, tested formula that has worked for every minority in this country. Focus on the courts. Because in America, a nation of law and due process, legal power is real power, effective power. You know, it's often said, the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, for the past 18 years, MLFA has been on the front lines of justice, fighting complex federal cases with courage, excellence, and yes, a pen. And with each passing year, MLFA experiences more and more success. Tonight, we heard from Sister Noor how MLFA protected an innocent woman against an overzealous, flawed prosecution. Tonight, we heard from Brother Hamza how we secured citizenship for a brother being denied status for years and years that he was entitled to receive. MLFA has freed Muslims from jail that are wrongfully convicted, like Hamid Hayat. We've forced government agencies to create and follow due process. We've set precedents in numerous immigration, civil, and criminal cases. MLFA has traveled the country, proactively educating our leadership, teaching risk management and nonprofit compliance in order to protect our own imams, board members, mosques, relief organizations, and yes, our donors. Law firms now offer pro bono time and resources to us. This year, one of the largest law firms in America, Aiken and Gump, in partnership with Equal Justice Works, agreed to fund a full-time legal fellow to work at our law center in Dallas. One district judge even recommended our law center become a federal public defender's resource so that all federal judges in the US could refer their defendants to higher quality legal representation that this judge witnessed by our attorneys. Brothers and sisters, a foundation has been built, but there is so much more work to do. You know, like everyone else in the US, the COVID pandemic hit MLFA very hard. Since March of this year, all of our staff has been working from home. MLFA was forced to pivot, to cut overhead and budgets without breaking promises or commitments to our beneficiaries. Right now, we still have over 70 active cases moving through the court system, from New York to DC, Florida, Detroit, Texas, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, literally coast to coast. The demand for MLFA services continues to grow. In fact, statistics show that every year more and more Muslims are being unjustly targeted, not less. Brothers and sisters, we are in the eye of the hurricane. The storm is still upon us. And until we succeed, there's no backing down. We must continue the fight. However, MLFA, we need more attorneys, we need more funding. Right now, we need a staff attorney to join our immigration team, a staff attorney to join our civil team. We need an appellate attorney to help us with brief writing for immigration, civil, and criminal matters. We need several $100,000 as soon as possible. Martin Luther King once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." You know, this is why MLFA believes in defending the few, the vulnerable, or the one, to protect the rights and liberties of all. We all know the power of unity. Well, MLFA creates unity by providing a national platform to fund cases that are in the interest of the Muslim community. We leverage community resources, your resources. We lower cost to increase quality and achieve a greater collective impact, a united impact. Muslims don't need just any voice. Muslims need the right voice in the courtroom. And by funding high caliber senior attorneys with incredible experience and expertise, prominent attorneys with a passion for justice and a commitment to excellence, MLFA has built the right legal voice for the Muslims in America. MLFA has the courage to challenge the process, stay the course, and challenge the narrative. We have the leadership to build the infrastructure to empower and protect the Muslim community from the inside out and for generations to come. This is why your support is so critical. It's so important. Very simple. The more funding we secure, the more empowerment we achieve. Brothers and sisters, justice is the foundation of peace, the foundation of Islam. Justice is the core principle of everything we do as Muslims. Now, MLFA has always been a grassroots funded organization, now with over 25,000 individuals who supported our mission for the past 18 years. MLFA grew out of the community, the masjids, and the trust that we built for nearly 2 decades. Tonight, I'm asking you to invest in justice, invest to strengthen the Muslim community, invest in a proven process by helping us increase our staff of attorneys, help us grow our staff to meet the growing needs of our community now more than ever. Tonight, I'm inviting you to continue your support, continue the momentum, continue the unity. Tonight, I ask you to stand up, to show up, to protect the lives of the few, the vulnerable, and the one, to protect the rights and liberties of all. Brothers and sisters, let there be no more targeting Muslims, intimidating Muslims, bullying Muslims, no more discriminatory tactics preying on our youth or vulnerable community members. Tonight, let us all create, shape, transform the future into the reality that we all want to see, the reality that we all want to experience. An America that is not a contradiction, an America built on real freedom and equality. Let me be clear. Tonight, we want our donors to care more than we do. We want our donors to be stronger than we are. We want our donors to push and pull us to greater heights, collective heights. Tonight, we want your most generous gift, your most passionate gift, your impact gift. United, we can and will make a difference. MLFA is tax exempt, zakat eligible. Every dollar counts. Tonight, let us do our best to follow the footsteps of generations of minorities who paved the way for us and who now push and pull all of us to greater heights, collective heights. The angels await. Thank you, and salam alaikum.
Thank you so much, Brother Khalil Meek. Yes, indeed. Stand up, show up, be counted, invest in justice, invest in America, invest really in the future, where we're not afraid, we're not concerned about being targeted, not only us, but also our children, not only us and our children, but also the future generation, the next minority that is going to come to America and maybe be targeted. We are here really, like I said, in the forefront of the civil liberties. Before I move on to our really most critical segment of the evening, I wanted to make sure that I want to thank our sponsors, all our sponsors who have been supportive, who are supporting this evening and who are supportive of MLFA. I wanted to thank our staff who have been working tirelessly, really, I mean, countless hours to put together this evening and this event. Ayman and Brother Khalil, Brother Wasif, Abdullah, of course, Ayman Aishat, and then last but not least, Sister Arshia. I hope I did not miss anybody. Without further ado, let me introduce to you Brother Ayman Aishat, who's going to take over the evening and nudge you a little bit to make sure that you're going to support our work and the work of MLFA and CLCMA.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Torani, may Allah reward you, put the barakah in you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, respected brothers and sisters. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make these blessed moments very fruitful, very productive for all of us. What really reminds me and remind you all of right now, the most important ayah in the Quran that encourages me to stick to this noble cause and be proud actually of it, to be honored and privileged, as Brother Khalid Turani mentioned earlier, that we are, number one, fulfilling the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to each one of us. All you who believe, uphold justice firmly. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qist. As Dr. Hatim Bazian also mentioned earlier in his talk, that really we want to uphold the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence Are we really working towards the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness for each individual who lives on the surface of America, on the United States of America? And as Brother Torani mentioned earlier in the beginning of his talk, are we really up to it to rescue the people who have been targeted unfairly and unjustly among the Muslim Americans? This is exactly what motivates me to stand in front of you over here today and ask you, let us continue this noble work together. Let us put our hands as Allah ordered us. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. Subhanallah, Allah is telling us the key factor of success for the Muslims in America: when you are united, supportive of one another. This is the reason, wallahi, brothers and sisters, when you see the pictures and the video capturing of Sister Nur Salman, an innocent, normal Muslim American citizen being targeted unfairly, her life was about to be dismantled forever, although it was for 15 months. And luckily, and thanks God, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who selected us as staff members, as founders of the Muslim Legal Fund of America, as the board members, may Allah reward them, as and very important as well, yourself. You are the contributors. Without you, the pie is missing a big piece, which is the contributing factor to this fund that really solely fund CLCMA, the law firm that really has taken so many cases. You've heard Brother Khalid Qur'ani, you heard Nur Salman, you heard tons of other cases. Alhamdulillah, together we can make this reality and bring happiness and rescue and relief to too many unfortunate Muslims that have been targeted here in America unfairly. Our target today is $100,000, inshallah ta'ala. So far, as you can tell on the screen, we have $34,271. MashaAllah, and I do see, MashaAllah, contributors and sponsors. I want to thank all of them. MashaAllah, Muslim organizations are coming forward. Look at that, MashaAllah, on the screen, or to the right of the screen. Many Muslim organizations are coming forward and donating, and some people go around and collect funds. Masajid go around and make sure that we are here supported and their word is heard. MashaAllah, may Allah reward you all. I don't want to mention names, but I want to give the chance for those who are listening now and still thinking and debating about it. It's during this tough, challenging circumstances of Corona, COVID-19, and all of these other circumstances, uncertainties, the panic mode, the psychological impact of this challenging time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam teach us a big lesson. When a man came and asked him, Ayyu sadaqati afdal? O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what is the best form and style of sadaqah? The best. And subhanallah, this is the most fitting hadith for tonight, which is أن تصدق وأنت صحيح شحيح تأمل العيش وتخشى الفقر. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam teach us a lesson until the day of judgment. Even in the toughest time of your life, or in a tough circumstances, hardships like the COVID-19, like too many people unemployed, like the uncertainty that goes around, subhanallah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam teach us, give sadaqah and tasaddaq. You are healthy, you should thank Allah. You are wealthy, you have some extra dollars in your pocket. You are feeling stingy, you are feeling concerned about spending. You are trying to save right and left. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam tell you, this is the best time to give while you are hoping for a long life and you are hoping to be secured financially. This is the time where you need to be generous, when you need to come forward, when you need to be courageous enough to stand up and reduce the hardship of the brothers and sisters who are innocent, who are unfairly targeted. Come forward and donate generously for the Muslim Legal Fund of America that solely fund the law firm with the 27 attorneys and paralegals. And you probably heard some of these attorneys. Some of them are the most recognized and top-notch and elite attorneys in the nation, led by Charles Swift. And you heard Linda Moreno, and you heard Christine Jump, and you heard many others. Alhamdulillah, this is a blessing from Allah, wallahi. That's why we need to see more of you to come forward. May Allah reward the big donors and ambassadors. I just saw, mashallah, Rafiq Jabir from Chicago coming forward. He's our ambassador, mashallah, and supportive of MLFA from day one, coming forward to give a $1,500 takbir for Rafiq Jabir. May Allah reward many people who are coming forward and saying, Ana laha, I will do it. And now this is your time. The screen shows 34,271, and I hope you will take this word and come forward and contribute generously. You can go to mlfa.org/gala and go and click on the link of the donation and give and donate and contribute. And this is the most important. If we don't stand up together, who else will come? Don't expect anybody to come forward and help you if you do not stand up with yourself. That's why we need to come forward. Expect the reward from Allah. You want Allah to ease your hardship, whether it's in this dunya or in the hereafter. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ teach us, ease a hardship of a Muslim, Allah will ease a hardship for you in the day of judgment, and before that in this dunya. Take advantage. I don't want to take too long. The goal is, as mentioned on the screen, 50. I want to go very ambitious because I know that we do have some Kareems on the call with us here, logged in online with us, that they can make the big difference. MashaAllah, the number is going 35,000 now. I know you can do better. I know many of you can go around. Wallahi, and I have seen masajid, they could not contribute now because of the current circumstances, but they said, let me do something. And they go around and come back. May Allah reward Brother Murjan al-Tawil, who went away and came back and said, we will contribute from Darul Iman in Arlington. May Allah reward all those. I cannot mention all the names. MashaAllah, I see Nimr Ikram, $2,500. I see, MashaAllah, Brother Wajahat Saeed, may Allah reward you. The founder of Al-Furqan Foundation. And by the way, he was the former executive director of the Muslim Legal Fund of America, giving $1,000. May Allah reward him. May Allah reward all of you. I can't mention all the names because it's tough. But may Allah reward each and every contributor who is coming forward. MashaAllah, it looks like we are 75% of the lower target. Oh, MashaAllah, $39,000 takbir. May Allah reward you and accept from you. Put the barakah in your sadaqah. Thank you for Kulthum, MashaAllah, Dr. Kulthum, one of the most generous ladies that I know here in America. Never came in front of me in a fundraiser, but to raise her hand and beat the other brothers. MashaAllah. This is where you see the generous sisters. I see, MashaAllah, Arshiya Ali Khan, MashaAllah, $250. Our current interim CEO, given, MashaAllah, generously. May Allah reward each and every one of you who are coming forward. Dr. Ma'an al-Quda, I see personally given $500. And Guidance College, which he is the president of, given $1,000. Takbir. May Allah reward you. I see a relief organization, MashaAllah, Pure Hand. MashaAllah, Muhammad al-Hajjaj is given $2,000. Takbir. May Allah reward you, accept from you. Put the barakah in your sadaqah. MashaAllah, Pure Hands is doing a great job and good relief for our brothers, mainly in Yemen. May Allah reduce the hardship of the brothers in Yemen. Allahumma ameen. And all over the world, in Syria, in Iraq, in Libya, in Afghanistan, in Myanmar, everywhere. May Allah ease the hardship of the Muslims. But MLFA is focused on our civil liberties that have been violated, civil rights that has constitutionally protected, that has been violated, as Dr. Hatim Bazian mentioned. The loopholes exist in the Declaration of Independence from day one, as it was good to go. There were some loopholes, injustices against the indigenous Americans, against the African Americans, against the women from day one. And today, in today's environment, it is the Muslim American communities are at the stake, are at the table to be, their rights to be violated. But together we will make it. 80% of our target has been met, alhamdulillah. May Allah reward you. Put the barakah in your reward, put the barakah in your sadaqah, and grant you a higher level of Jannah, and grant you a better substitute. You wonder why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala focus a lot in the Quran about the ayat and the verses of sadaqah and the reward and multi-levels, and in this dunya and in the hereafter, and 10 times and 700 times, and subhanallah, in the same particular ayah, that Allah talks about the multiplication of the reward to 700 times, Allah conclude this ayah with even more hopeful than that. Wallahu yudha'ifu liman yasha. And Allah give even more and beyond 700 times to whomever He wants. Allah has the capability and ability to do whatever He wants. And at the same time, by His wisdom, Allah is testing you. And Allah is testing me. Can you stand up together? Can you sacrifice? Can you squeeze your budget? Can you think of others as much as you think of yourself? Can you do something for humanity? Can you do something to be a merciful and kind person, to be passionate? Can you do something to be truly, honestly supportive of the others? The people who have been vulnerable, the people who have less resources. As Dr. Hatim mentioned it, although it has been mentioned as a joke, but really money can buy the system sometimes, or really can pay to the attorneys. And this is the reality of it. The higher caliber that the attorneys that you have, like the scholars in the law, this is the higher chances that you have in succeeding. And this is the secret recipe why MLFA has been successful. We don't hire just 50-50 type of lawyers. We hire the top-notch attorneys. Look at Charles Swift, look at Linda Moreno, look at Christina Jump, look at Kate. MashaAllah, we have a lot of good attorneys who believe in the cause, who want to make the difference, and who did make the difference. I am very proud when I see too many successful stories. I am very proud when I see clients who say, I will do, and I can do, and I will do anything and everything for MLFA after we have rescued their life. After, as the brother, Dr. MashaAllah, Brother Khalid, Dr. Ani mentioned, after we have made it for these unfortunate targeted people, MashaAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let them put the playback button on their life, move forward peacefully. How can we do it? We will not be doing it if we, each one of us, think of himself, think of your just own immediate family. Don't think about the big picture. We are one ummah. We are one body. If one part aches, as Prophet Muhammad teaches us, the whole body will stay alert. And this is exactly the message of MLFA for you tonight. We cannot sleep. We cannot pause. And by the way, although the whole world has been put on pause because of COVID-19, MLFA and CMA continuous challenge for injustices in American courts never put in pause. We have too many cases currently moving forward in the federal cases. And alhamdulillah, as you can tell, we have some more successful stories, more successful cases to come forward. And we have done before. Wallahi, it is a big motivation for me. When some client called me, someone who was targeted unfairly, unjustly, we came to his rescue and say, I owe MLFA in my life. I can do anything and everything for MLFA. You just tell me what you want. Brothers and sisters, it is not easy. When some innocent Muslim and leader and imam, the authorities and somebody comes and tell him, leave the country for no reason whatsoever, other than being influential Muslim leader in the community. They have been targeted for no crimes that they have done. And yet they challenge, they come forward, they contacted MLFA, we come to the rescue and we stop the deportation, or we stop these harassments against them, and we stop some agents from reaching out to them. That cannot happen without your contribution. MashaAllah, I see that we are almost more than 85% to the target. I hope and pray to Allah in this blessed night. By the way, the night of the Jum'ah, the Friday started. Take advantage. Give more sadaqah. Come forward. Make a contribution. Reach out to your friends. Make a pledge. Make it something that you want to do. Make it monthly. Even if you make a monthly donation. See the result. See why the donors come forward always. Why the donors repeatedly come forward and donate and raise their hand. When you come and see them, that's before Corona. That's before COVID. And inshallah, soon to come, field visits, inshallah ta'ala, soon to come back to the Muslim communities. And soon, inshallah, we will go back to normal life. God knows. Maybe after the elections, God knows, maybe early in 2021, But whatever it takes, we should stand up together. One ummah, one body. Together we will make it. I want to close, but I hope in the coming 1 or 2 minutes, you will come forward and tell me, someone will come forward. Tanveer Ahmed, mashallah, is giving $5,000. Mashallah, Muhammad Nimr is giving $2,500. MashaAllah, Tayyib Yunus, $515, MashaAllah. Lijah Sharif, MashaAllah, $500. Altaf Muhammad is giving $3,000. Saxi Muslim Community Center, $500. MashaAllah, Islamic Center of Lake Travis is giving $1,000. May Allah put the barakah in your sadaqah, and protect you and your family. Everyone who come forward, everyone who make the sacrifice. We are almost 88% from the target. And I hope you will come forward. We are almost 86%. I'm sorry. My calculation went wrong. I want to close in 1 minute, but I hope some of you will come forward. Some of you will believe in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Amazingly, shaitan will not leave you alone. Shaitan will try to scare you. Shaitan will whisper to your ears and your mind and your heart, scare you from poverty, poorness, lose of job. Oh, what if COVID-19 continued to be COVID-20, COVID-21, COVID-22? God forbid, of course. However, this is the job of shaitan. Shaitan does not want you to get closer to Muhammad ﷺ in the day of judgment. Shaitan does not want you to go to Jannah. Shaitan is going to hell and want you to join him there. And subhanallah, can you imagine where Allah mentioned this ayah? Allah mentioned this ayah in the middle of 5 continuous pages in the Quran. Towards the end of Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter number 2 in the Quran. We're continuously talking about the importance of sadaqah, the order to give sadaqah, the reward of giving sadaqah. And subhanallah, among the rewards are 2 most pursued things that people want in this dunya. الذين ينفقون أموالهم بالليل والنهار سرا وعلانية فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. 2 most important things after the forgiveness of Allah in this dunya, they will be free from anxiety and they will never be sad. They will be free from sadness and free from anxiety and panic. Those who donate, those who have the courage in their heart to give generously fi sabilillah. And I hope you will come forward and make it happen. And inshallah ta'ala, some Kareems will come forward even after this event. What we need you to do is take this link and spread the word, take our website and pass it on to your friends and give it to others. MashaAllah, I heard that anonymous supporter is given. Oh, MashaAllah, too many anonymous people not giving their names, but Allah will mention their name. Allah will give them. We are almost 88% of the target. We are just at 12%. And I am sure some of you will come forward. And by the way, do not belittle your sadaqah. I see Kareems and generous people are giving much less amount than what I mentioned. Amounts that I mentioned. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is teaching us a lesson, which Brother Khalid Tur'ani mentioned it. 1 + 1 not necessarily always equal to, not at all when it comes to sadaqah. The reward, number 1, can be very multiplied. And number 2, رب درهم سبق ألف درهم رب دينار سبق ألف دينار. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ teach us, sometimes all what you can do is $1 or $10 or $100. Do not belittle that. Khalid Tur'ani is giving $500. Takbir, mashallah. May Allah reward you, accept from you. MashaAllah, this is your organization. You understand, you believe in the cause. MashaAllah, Ali Kasabati, $1,000. So Brother Khalid, MashaAllah, it is in your heart to defend the oppressed people. And MashaAllah, I see you always coming forward for the rescue of others. As MashaAllah, it worked with you and it touched your heart because you know what it takes. And now, MashaAllah, we need more people to come forward. Usama Al-Bibi, $1,000. Takbir, MashaAllah. ITV USA, $1,000. Sabir, MashaAllah, $500. Isam Al-Aween, MashaAllah, $1,000. MashaAllah, these are people who are attending with us over here, MashaAllah. Salman Khan, MashaAllah, $258. Anonymous, and Allah will mention you inshallah in front of the angels, giving a $500. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. MashaAllah, I see many of you coming forward. I don't want to keep going, MashaAllah. We're almost 90% of the target. So that means you are doing excellent job, or almost excellent job. We want someone to come forward and make it happen, inshallah ta'ala. And I want to conclude with saying our work will continue. We are not done. Even if COVID-19 make it done almost for the whole world and put the people on pause, we will continue the work. We are prevented from traveling, but we will continue to do our work when we are together, when we are supportive of one another, when we are in your heart and in your mind and you know it will work. You have seen it, it worked. Dr. Usama Abu Shayd, one of the beneficiaries, mashallah, and he was targeted big time, and mashallah, now he's a free man, mashallah, not harassed, and he got his citizenship. And many other clients. And this is exactly what we need to do. I hope you will come forward. MashaAllah, Dr. Hani Ahmad from Houston, MashaAllah, $600. May Allah reward you, accept from you. MashaAllah, one of the most prominent and successful masjid in Chicago. Mosque Foundation is giving $1,000. Takbir, MashaAllah. May Allah reward you. I see our Shia Basir, MashaAllah, as well, $258. Shireen Al-Khaldi, MashaAllah, Al-Qadi, MashaAllah, $258. Saqib Ahmad, 1,000. May Allah reward you. Put the barakah in your sadaqah. Put inshallah your effort in the right direction. This is exactly what you need to do. This is more important than many other type of works that we need to focus on. Actually, MLFA work is a unique work. MLFA work is the national organization that defend some of the most highest caliber cases and go successfully. And this is the most important, that we go successfully with lots of these cases. At the end of the day, it is in the hand of Allah to give this success. And together we will continue this work and rise, inshallah, to a higher level of success, inshallah ta'ala. Today we are defending the Muslims in America. Tomorrow, in the future, inshallah, we will be the organization to represent all oppressed citizens of America. Let them live equally for freedom, liberty, and pursuit of happiness together, inshallah ta'ala. Barakallah feekum. I want to conclude with saying, Jazakumullah khair. May Allah reward you for your sadaqah. Make it fruitful for you in this dunya and in the hereafter. And thank you for attending and being with us. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. Please pass the word on. It will do an impact, inshallah. جزاكم الله خير. بارك الله فيك. The mic is yours, brother Khalid. بارك الله فيك.
Thank you, brother Ayman, Aisha. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you for all those who donated. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Remember that Allah in the Quran said, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. And we shall test you with adversity and prosperity as a trial, and to us you shall return. So we are living in a prosperous place, in a prosperous country, where most of us, the majority of American Muslims, are doing well financially. They're doing well as far as their education and their children. And this is a test. This is what Allah said in the Quran. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم كل نفس ذائقة الموت ونبلوكم بالشر والخير فتنة وإلينا ترجعون. And you shall return to us. This is a test of prosperity. And our test of prosperity is really for those who are in a test of adversity. And that test of adversity is for us really to stand up there. And those who are living in our homes, who are really comfortable, who are not being challenged legally or in any other way, that is our test of prosperity. Let us make sure that we pass the test. Make sure you donate. You go and text MLFA to 91999, or go to the website and make sure that you'll donate on mlfa.org/gala. Stand up, be counted, do your best. Please, if you're not able to donate now, donate later. If you're not able to donate yourself, encourage others to donate. Gather your family members and tell them this is really a great cause. There is probably no greater cause right now than to stand up for justice and to invest in justice. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. Nothing for us to better to close our blessed evening than with a recitation from the Quran with our brother the Hafiz Sajjad Gul, who is the principal at Dar al-Quran Hafz School at Epic Masjid. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر